Well, I'm anxious to get started on my videos tonight, so let's go ahead and get the show on the road. This is Mr. DJ. Let me put this autofocus. Let me put the focus all the way down, slide it down all the way to the left. And, well, how you doing? Nice to be back on my 80s and 90s YouTube channel again. Got loads of playlists, fancy playlists from the 80s and 90s that there's a lot more I want to count down. It's going to take a long time to do, but I'm going to do it as long as I can. Well, anyway, I'm outsourcing. I'm going to count down my fantasy playlist to last week of December 1990. Haven't counted out a fantasy playlist from 1990 yet. Well, maybe it's not the last week of 1990, but it's the week of December 22nd, 1990, which would be about a week before Christmas or a few days before Christmas. Some of the ads on my fantasy playlist you might be familiar with. Whitney Houston, All the Man That I Need. This House by Tracy Spencer, which was a pretty big hit around the spring of 1991. And, oh my goodness, Faster Pussycat, You're So Something, You're So Vain, I believe. And got one by Queensryche. The best I could do, that would be before Silent Lucidity, which came out in the spring of 91. Hold You Tight by Tara Kemp, another that would become big in the spring of 91. And Extreme, Get the Funk Out. My goodness, Extreme. I forgot about that record. They had that song just months later. More Than Words, the acoustic slow record, and then Wholehearted in the summer of 1991. I got a fast track on this fantasy playlist. The fast track is Wicked Games by Chris Isaac. All right, let's get to the top 40 on my fantasy playlist. Let's go ahead and get started right now. Got 6 debuts, I do believe, about 6 debuts on this fantasy playlist. And got a group from Raleigh, North Carolina, who are pretty big over in England and in Europe. They had that British sound, the Connells, with Stone Cold Yesterday. A sort of a new wave group. It would be called alternative today, but new wave back in the late 80s and early 90s. And Stone Cold Yesterday, it was from their third CD called One Simple Word. Stone Cold Yesterday did not cross over on pop radio, needless to say, but it did. It went to number 3 on Billboard's Modern Rock charts, the rock charts on Billboard magazine. And let's see, what else do I need to say? It was played on college radio stations. It just never really migrated from college radio, although I do remember seeing this video on MTV, and it got that nice clip. Oh, it's kind of blurry, but still, it's a finished clip of Stone Cold Yesterday from 120 minutes on MTV. 2 hours of alternative music or new wave music they used to play on that show. It's back in the late 80s, early 90s. Boy, we are, oh my goodness. Can you believe this has been a quarter of a century ago? Here's another tidbit about this record. Stone Cold Yesterday from the album One Simple Word. It was produced by a guy named Hugh Jones, a new wave producer in England. He's worked with A Teardrop Explodes, remember them? Echo and the Bunnymen, and worked with Simple Minds early in their career. And he produced a couple of records that he produced that you're familiar with. I Melt With You by Modern English, remember that? And also Whisper to a Scream by Icicle Works. That was back in the spring of 1984. Classic new wave British rock and roll produced by Hugh Jones. Well, he produced this one too by the Connells. Stone Cold Yesterday at number 40 on our fantasy playlist, December 22nd, 1990.